Well, the price has gone up some. I used to charge 4.5 for them, but I've gone up 50 cents, $5. You know, the brushes and paint cost a lot, you see. And boards and oil colors, they all wound up. So I went up in the price, $5. Some don't want to pay that much, and others don't mind at all.
But if someone insisted she take $10, would she take it?
Oh, yes.
Maud Lewis was a commercial hit from the start. By the time this 1965 CBC interview aired, she'd created and sold thousands of her own artwork. And people are buying and selling them still, but not for $10. So what's changed? Why are people looking differently at Maud's work 5 decades after she died? The pandemic turned Chad Brown into a full-time Maud Lewis art dealer.
I think we're going to see more paintings. I think we're going to see better paintings. I think the more paintings we get, it could soften the prices a little bit, but it depends on the image. I have no doubt that we will see paintings reach $100,000. It's not if, it's when.
And Maud Lewis had a great pandemic. 2021 was her best year on record. Paintings expected to fetch $10,000 to $20,000 sold for $50,000 and $60,000. Bill Mayberry has been selling Maud Lewis paintings in Toronto and Winnipeg since the 1980s.
To see something go from $4 to, like, the record now for a Maud Lewis auction is $67,000. There's really not, at least in my experience, anyone in Canadian art where there's been that vast change.
When he started selling Mauds, he says people laughed at him and the paintings. They're not laughing now. A life-size replica of her home is part of an exhibit in London's Whitechapel Gallery, next to Pablo Picasso and Francis Bacon.
To me, this is the beginning of Maud's story. Like, there's a much bigger art world out there that still has to discover Maud Lewis, or even consider ever finding a piece to add to their collection. I probably won't live to see her work go international, but I think she's certainly got the potential of the work being shown with other great folk art artists that are international, especially in the United States.
And with those rising prices comes a rising interest in her art itself. Lewis herself famously said she'd never been to an art gallery, but look closely at her house. She was surrounded by pop artists working in calendars, advertising, and magazines. A new book takes a look at those influences.
It's not only just drawing inspiration from the landscape, but also drawing inspiration from pop culture and then distilling that in her own unique language and in a way that I think is really exciting and that we should talk about more.
Laurie Dalton has been studying Lewis for decades as a modern artist, influenced by ads, attracted to serialization.
To me, challenges and betrays some of the narration around her that she was unskilled, that she was untrained, that she didn't travel anywhere. But it forgets that she's surrounded by all of this pop culture material. And if we compare about the ways we've talked about modern artists, particularly male modern artists in art history, that's often celebrated, that they're taking a recognizable location and reinvigorating that through a visual lens. And so I think that Maud Lewis was doing that as well.
More and more people are joining Maud Lewis in her sustained effort to create and hold a space for beauty in an often ugly world. It's impossible to know what she would have made of her posthumous success, but we'll leave her the last word.
Contented here. Ain't much for travel anyway. Contented right here in this chair. You know, if I got a brush in front of me, I'm all right.